In this video, we're continuing our conversation about exam stress by setting it in perspective. My name is Dr. Park. I'm a psychologist for youth, and here at Through the Waters, we nurture youth mental health. In the previous two videos, we talked about 10 tips for stress relief when you have upcoming exams. In case you missed those, here they are. Now let's zoom out a bit and talk about keeping exam stress in perspective. Sometimes therapists call this reframing, taking a different viewpoint on a situation so that it takes on a different meaning. Before we reframe our exam stress, let's start by validating your stress. If you have an upcoming exam or exams that you're stressed about, you're probably stressed about it because it's a stressful situation. Your stress makes sense. Our bodies and brains are designed to help us survive and respond to threats. And an upcoming exam is a threat because it's a trying situation that requires us to marshal our brain resources and navigate it like an intellectual obstacle course that has an uncertain outcome and carries social consequences. There's also a differential of power from an equity perspective because depending on how the exam was designed, it may or may not be an accurate and fair assessment of your actual learning or abilities. And to be frank about it, that sucks. All of this to say, your stress is valid. Now let's try to set this exam or exams in perspective. Since it's just us friends talking here, I mean, it's not like this is public on the internet or anything like that. I'm gonna go into my challenge mode to challenge you a bit here. Setting an exam in perspective can be really difficult, but if you get kind of existential about it, in 10 years, how much will this matter to your future self? How about in 20 or 30 years? When you're on your deathbed, what do you think will be most important to you? How important will your score on this exam be when you're on your deathbed? Usually when people really dig deep about what's most important to them in this human life, it's about people and relationships. Here's a different way of looking at it. I remember I had a moment where I was stressed in grad school when I was working on my doctorate, and my friend in the same program was like, hey, any of us could be hit by a bus tomorrow. It was her way of saying, this is just an exam. Our lives are so much bigger than this. I also think one of the hard things about exams is that you're metaphorically going through a tunnel of the educational system or even a career system, and exams are part of the gatekeeping that happens, unfortunately. However, for those of us who have traveled through those tunnels in the past, we can more easily look in the rearview mirror and see what was important and what wasn't. It's harder to distinguish what's important and what's not when you're inside the tunnel. For example, when I was in high school, I got rejected by the college that I had my heart set on. When I was in college, I almost always got A's, but hilariously enough, I got like a C or a D in my child development class. Then I went on to become a child and adolescent psychologist and actually teach a developmental psychology class as a psychology professor. So in other words, it didn't really end up mattering, right? And it was just kind of like an ironic, funny thing in my story now. Here's another example. Some of the most awesome psychologists that I know didn't get accepted at any internship sites when we applied during grad school, and that's a really big deal. That set them back an entire year. Some of the most awesome psychologists I know didn't pass the licensure exam on their first or even their second attempts, and that's also a really big deal. Now, they are awesome licensed psychologists. So how about you? What's an attitude or thought that might help you to keep your exam stress in perspective? Let us know in the comments. You can help this channel reach more people who would benefit from it by hitting the like and the subscribe buttons. That tells YouTube to share it more broadly. In the description below, you'll find some helpful links, like a free list of coping tools that you can download. You can also sign up for our signature anxiety program called Peace to the People where we take a deep dive into leveling up your tools for dealing with anxiety.